Welcome back to Berserk, the complete story. Today we're going to be continuing on with the battle of the trolls and the Kelpie. Serpico, Shirkei, Avlaria, and Guts. Here we go. Now when we last left off, Serpico had swung the Sylph sword, and as the Kelpie brought the water down to deflect the attack, the wind picked up the water, forcing it upwards. While the Kelpie tries to gain control of that water again, Serpico moves in, stabbing the Kelpie through its mouth and into its head. Serpico takes out a second blade to finish off the Kelpie, but before he can swing, another rush of water pushes him back. As the Kelpie's eye hangs out of its socket, it gathers more and more water, releasing another barrage of water blasts. Serpico braces for the hit, but that's when the water stops and it lightly splashes by. The Kelpie begins to squeal, trying to understand what's going on, why he lost control of the blast, and that's when the water begins to flow through the town. Pillars of water begin to rise, engulfing the trolls, and Guts shouts, "What the hell is going on here?" Back on the roof, everyone looks back as Shirkei is standing in a trance and the water is floating around. As the water begins to form, the water elemental appears before them, and everyone looks at the spirit, and through Shirkei, she tells everyone that she is a kindred of the water. She has pledged to obey the ancient covenant and will now wash away the evil spirits who defile this land. The ground begins to shake as the rage of water spirits tower over, and everyone asks what's going on. As the water starts to pour in, Ishidoro shouts that the river is flooding and it's coming this way. The waves go crashing into the town square, washing the ogre and the trolls away, and as Guts jumps back to watch, he thinks to himself, "This is really magic." The ogre begins to try and pull us up back together, going towards the people. But out from the water, Guts charges through, swinging and slicing through the ogre's skull. Meanwhile, the Kelpie tries to maintain control of that water, and with no way to protect itself, its head suddenly flies off. Across the square, Serpico holds onto the side of a building, trying to catch his breath from that last attack. Back at the church, Ishidoro watches as the torrenting water sweeps away everything, and then he looks back to see Shirkei. Everyone begins to cheer as the streets are swept clean of trolls, and Avlaria says that Shirkei did it. That's enough chanting for now. Shirkei doesn't respond, and Avlaria tries to gently poke and prod her, stating, "This might be serious." Bernice asks how serious, and Avlaria explains that this is pretty bad. Shirkei's alignment with the water spirit is so strong that she can't come out of the trance, and if she can't come out of the trance, the spell won't stop. Farnese grabs Shirkei by the shoulder, telling her to wake up, but Avlaria says that she can't do that. Pulling her out by force could lead to a bigger problem. If they were to wake her before her soul makes it back to her body, it's possible that the soul will never find its way out. Farnese asks what are they supposed to do, and Avlaria points at Shirkei's staff, stating that they need to tap it at a specific rhythm. Inside the astral world, Shirkei continues to remain with the water spirit when suddenly she hears 7 taps. Her astral body looks back towards the real world, and then Flora's words can ring out. She explains that magic users must use the sounds from the staff to never forget how to come back home. The tapping gets louder, and in Shirkei's mind, she shouts, "That's it!" As Ishidoro makes his way onto the roof, the waters begin to crash into the church. The force causes Farnese to stagger, and in doing so, she bumps into Casca, who then falls back. Farnese reaches out to catch her, but the weight of Casca grabs the both of them off the roof. Guts tries to make his way over to the girls, and in the astral world, Shirkei notices what's going on. She then motions with her hand, guiding along the girls to help them stay afloat. But soon the skies begin to part, and the waters slowly begin to wash away. The villagers come out looking around, and down on the bridge, Ishidoro says that it's no use. They are nowhere to be found. Serpico shuffles his way, still injured from the fight, asking, "Where are they?" Avlaria says that Shirkei has been in search of their ode ever since. Inside of her mind, Shirkei yells at herself for being swept away with power, and Guts tells her, "It's okay. If she tenses up like that, she won't be able to do what she can normally do. Even though she was a little rough in the village, no one blames her. She saved everyone. And right now, I'm counting on her to find the girls." Guts pats down on Shirkei's hat, and after Shirkei fixes it, she senses Farnese and Casca's odes. But she also senses something else. The villagers begin to surround Shirkei, telling her that she did it. She is the great witch of the spirit forest. One of the young girls runs up asking what enables her to do such incredible things, and she explains that she simply borrowed power from the elemental spirits. The one that was enshrined here before the temple was built is that of the spirit of the river. However, because of the church being built on top of it, the spirit has not been contacted in so long that it went berserk. The flooding was due to her inexperience. The villagers all smile, telling her not to let it bother her. Homes can be rebuilt. They're all alive thanks to her. As the villagers try to cheer her up, Shirke thinks back in her mind that the anger towards the villagers inside of her is what made it happen. However, as everyone is praising her, Ishidoro sits off in a corner alone. Morgan notices him and asks why is he all by himself, and Ishidoro tells him that he should just mind his own business. Morgan says that he is a hero who helped save the village, and Ishidoro tells him to knock it off. He didn't do anything, he was just running around like a brat. Morgan doesn't say anything for a moment, and then he says that there is something that he wanted to give him. Ishidoro looks up at the short sword, and Morgan goes on stating that his father won it from a sailor. It's a smaller blade, so it should be easier for him to handle, right? Ishidoro asks if he's sure, and Morgan tells him it's fine. It was just collecting dust anyway. He then says that he remembered something, the reason why he was lost in the forest the first time. He was running away from his village and the household chores, away from his sick mother, and from everything that was troublesome. If he hadn't met with the witch back then, things may have been different. Ishidoro throws the sword over his shoulder, saying that it's typical for an old man to try and bond with the youth by telling them tales. Ishidoro then shouts that he has ambition, and it's at a whole different level than those childlike dreams. But one day he's gonna prove it. Prove that his ambition is the real deal. However, back at the church, Guts asks how are things with Serpico and Puck, and Valaria tells him that it's not too life-threatening, but he won't be up and moving for a bit. Shirke says that the effect of the spell will last until morning and he should be healed by then. But they cannot wait. Serpico tells Guts to go, leave as soon as possible. He's leaving Lady Fardis in his hands. Guts turns and says that they're leaving now then, huh? And as he and Shirke pass by Ishidoro, Ishidoro clenches his fist since he isn't going, and Guts calls back telling him to hurry up or he's gonna get left behind. Deep down in the forest, Guts asks Shirke if she's sure that this is the right direction. She says that they've been tracing the lingerings of trolls, so this is the right direction. Guts then asks about how Casca and Fardis are doing, and Shirke mentions that she tried to call out to them, but they seem to be unconscious. However, there has been no turbulence in their energy from them being harmed. As long as they're wearing their silver mail, it'll be impossible for the trolls to touch them directly. As Ishidoro starts to look around, he says that it's starting to get a little creepier here by the second. This isn't anything like when they were going to the witch's mansion. Shirke notices something and tells everyone to stop. Up ahead, a small creature with no arms and only legs stands there looking back at them. Shirke tells the other two to leave this to her, and she begins to quietly chant. The weird-faced creature begins to shake and then it nervously runs off. Shirke says that it's just as she feared, and Guts asks what is that supposed to mean. She goes on stating that this is part of the spirit realm, and a tricky one at that. It's the dark domain of the spirit realm of Quilfoth. Normally, it's not something that is possible to have the spirit realm and their world overlap so vividly. Shirke then finishes by stating that she's not sure as to why this is even happening, but it could be because of the appearance of a certain man. Guts' eyes widen as the only man that he could think of who could have done this would be Griffith. As the lights find their way through the dark forest, Shirke tells everyone that this path will lead them to the troll's den. Guts doesn't respond, only having his focus on finding Casca, and Shirke says that she's going to try and reach them again, so please give her a moment. Elsewhere in Quilfoth, Farnese begins to wake up, realizing the position that she and Casca are in. After waking up Casca, Farnese hears Shirke's voice calling out to her, asking if they're all right, and Farnese mentally says yes, and then from the murky waters below, an eye comes out looking Farnese's way. She then starts to look around, noticing all of the creatures wiggling and crawling towards them, beginning to panic. The mental connection fades, and Shirke shouts to Farnese that she needs her to calm down. They're both wearing silver mail. They will be protected. Farnese says, even so, they can't just stay here, they have to move. Farnese looks around for an escape path and begins to climb up, pulling Casca along. And as Casca stumbles up, one of the creatures reaches out and Farnese quickly swipes her dagger, scaring the creature away. Farnese then lets out a sigh of relief, and Shirke asks if everything's alright. Farnese tells her yes, and then hugs Casca, stating, it is alright. With Casca close, Farnese looks at her dagger and realizes that she just used this to protect someone. And then the shuffling sounds can be heard as Farnese and Casca look over, and they see the trolls raping all of the women that they have taken. Shirke sees the image and tells Farnese that they need to stay calm and not draw attention to themselves, and as she finishes, a troll walks by, dragging one of the women's dead bodies, tossing it into the lake that Farnese and Casca have escaped from. The creatures begin to eat away at the flesh, and Farnese covers Casca's mouth so that she doesn't make any sounds. As the two sit and hide, a woman crawls away begging for help, and Farnese stares wondering what to do, and that's when the woman feels a pain in her stomach, and she turns over on her back screaming no. Suddenly her screams are silenced as her stomach explodes, spraying the walls with blood and intestines. From the hole in the woman's stomach, smaller, baby trolls begin to crawl their way out, and all Farnese can do is watch. And there you have it. All the way to chapter 216 of Berserk. Our goal now is to bring you much longer episodes, and I hope you'll enjoy those. Don't forget, guys, you can follow us on Twitter at Mangastorian and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time right here.